Hey there, it's Tim O'Keefe, Spider Juice Technologies. We're here to talk about more leads and maybe why you're getting less leads than you're used to getting. And there's some real reasons I've identified for you. I'm wearing my Hawaiian shirt in honor of my Samoan, Tongan, and Hawaiian friends. Something about a Hawaiian shirt just makes you feel like everything's going to be all right, doesn't it? The other thing is I've got my morning coffee. It's morning here in LA. Here's to you, and this is my El Segundo Youth Football Cup, and it's in honor of my boys who gave us a great season this year. We're in our last game this Saturday, and so this is in honor of my boys, and they've really learned a lot this year, and I'm proud of them. What I want to talk to you today is to coach you a little bit on getting more leads. You know, getting high in the search engines, high in traffic is all useless unless you get more leads. So some of the times we may have the other stuff down pat, but we don't have the lead part down. And right now, if you're in real estate, you're suffering. Most people I know, until they look at these things, are suffering from less lead counts. And I've identified a few things that I think you're going to find revealing. And it'll maybe give you an idea of how you can add new traffic flows to your site and change your site so that you can tilt it so that there's more leads jumping down into your lead chute, so to speak. The first problem that's happening in this world right now in real estate and online is the economy, right? I mean, there's less buyers out there, so let's be honest, there's less buyers, so there's more websites going after that's the other thing. There's more websites. There's more real estate websites than ever, right? The web is growing at an amazing pace. So there's more competing for less, and whenever you do that, there's going to be an issue. And there's not a whole lot you and I can do about the economy other than to sell more. So, but all by our lonesome, we're not going to do it. Maybe collectively we can make a dent. But the economy is a real issue. But let's scratch it off the board because our little website's not going to make a big dent. Even if, well, maybe unless we're Google or something. So we're not going to look at that. Distraction. Distraction is the social media. Distraction is, in the last few years, and at the peak, you were used to getting traffic, and that traffic came mostly from Google. That traffic came maybe from Yahoo, maybe from Bing, which was MSN back in the day. Then they became Live or Live, I'm not sure what it was, and then it became Bing, and now Bing's making a big play. So you have a lot of stuff going in, a lot of fighting going on the engines as Bing has become basically, and it's still integrating into Yahoo search. Everybody's looking for viability. Google just kicks away and keeps growing and growing, but in revenues. But one of the problems that Google has is this little thing called Facebook with a 500,000, or is it a million or billion? I haven't had enough coffee. 500 million folks, 500 million human beings that are signed up on Facebook. And instead of going to perhaps Google in the morning to get a little bit of wake up time and just search around and look at news or what's going on, people are more and more so going on to Facebook to say, hey, you know, what's going on, and chat it up with their pals or their business colleagues or new people that they're meeting. So that distraction's pulling away from, I'm trained to go on to Google every day. And so that's something that is real, and it's what's going on, and it's something why you don't want to totally put away the social media side of this and just throw it away. It is a real distraction from what we all would like, which is traffic from Google and, you know, the old ways. But people are finding other ways to find links, and so that's what Facebook and the other social media to some degree can produce for you. But the other thing is it's a very different traffic. So without going into into too much detail on there, that's a whole different study. Commodity of the MLS. The listings have become a commodity. And of course a commodity is no distinction, right? That's what a commodity means. There's really no difference between this and this. They're the same. If you're, the best way I've been taught about commodity is you're driving down the street, and on the right it's a 7-Eleven, and on the left is a Circle K on the other side, and you're driving along and, man, I want one of them freezy things, those icy, freezy drinks, and there's a 7-Eleven, there's a Circle K. I'm going to take the easiest route. I'm going into the 7-Eleven because there's no difference. The perception's the same. And so that's a real problem. Whereas in the past, as well as I do, the listings were kind of hidden in this secret cloak that only you as the agent and the broker could actually make available to the public, going back to pre-internet, and then even as the internet grew, there was still some lock on it, and now the real estate community is pretty much given up, even though through antiquated rulings and whatnot from NAR and other stuff. The boards are doing what they're doing. Some are trying to keep the lockdown on this stuff. But the reality of it is it's game over. The listings are no longer yours. And it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what NAR thinks. It matters what the consumer thinks. And the consumer, if you ask them, sees no different than from a Trulia to a Realtor.com to your site. So how do you make the difference? Well, one of the things, if you look at Trulia, they've been brilliant. Here's a site that's created nothing original, at least in the beginning. They've taken your listings from you giving it to them to place on their website, and then that's on one side, and then on the other side what they did is they started creating more content for you to create for them. And in fact, they've created probably one of the better collaborative or user-generated content sites in real estate. Probably the most extensive frequently asked question databases online on real estate, and Trulia hasn't even sent you a thank you note. Now, of course, Trulia does some other stuff. They've mashed in data and whatnot for all these different marketplaces and Trulia Voices, and it's a heck of a site, and it's kicking most of your butts because they have more rich content, they have more rich information than most realtor sites, because most realtor sites just present listings. And so I don't want you to go, oh, I need all that data. And here's the other thing. Data is data, and why is it any different now that in high school, unless you were a math geek, you sat there and glazed over as soon as all those numbers and pie charts and stuff went on the chalkboard. But now we need to give that to everybody, like people care. Some do. Some just eat it up. Those are the analytics, right? We all know there's different types of people. But here's a book that I think everybody in business, particularly a one-man army type business or a small business, needs to read. It's called The Obvious Expert by Elsom Eldridge, I believe it's how it's said. His name is said. And essentially, he talked about, before the internet even, that consultants needed to publish. They needed to create content on paper, but nevertheless, that in order to create an authority over their marketplace, so that they were the expert. When everybody was being tried, because here's what happens, right? Everybody tries to compare and say this is the same, this is the same, this is the same, and then all of a sudden, not the same, very different. Well, why? Added value. He taught me about this. She gave me this information. I learned something in a new way. And I've said it in this way, that whenever you give somebody an aha moment where that light bulb goes off in their head, you own a piece of their brain. You own a piece of their brain. And so what it does is it makes it so that you are now the obvious expert, and that's what Eldridge is talking about in his book. And it's really the only unique identifier of what makes somebody keep coming back. You see, in the old days, we could just put up a website, put up a bunch of information, and they sign up because the market's so overheated that literally people are sending in checks through the mail to buy a house they saw a picture of online. You know, in some far off distant land. That's how nuts it was, right? You've been there. Well, now it's not like that. Everybody's going, oh, I don't even want to give away my information now because why should I? I can go to Trulia. I can go to the next guy who doesn't ask for all the information. And I'm not saying not to take their information or do hard opt-ins. That's a whole different discussion on conversion. But what I'm saying is that there's a necessity to add you. If you have any value in the business that you're in, who knows about it? Does your public know about it? If they don't, that's your fault. You're not giving it to them. You're holding back. In this world of transparency, people, you've got to let the world know you. Not just a business face hiding behind some banner that is your business card or your brochure or whatever, but you. What do you stand for? What are you about? And how does that help your clientele? Okay? So that's what all of this is about. Okay? The time where we can just put up a vanilla banner on the web with a little bit of content that they can't get, now they can. You have no say now. You are no better than anybody else because all you got is listings. Yawn. So does everybody else. And oh, by the way, you don't need to be a realtor anymore to have listings. I know of at least 3 ways to get listings and have no tie-in to any realtor organization. It's done all the time. Offshore, somebody in Bangladesh can compete against you. Isn't that fun? If all you got is listings. But he or she in Bangladesh does not have your market sense, your local sense. And that gets into the word hyperlocality that we hear all the time bannered about. And if I may just comment on that and editorialize on that, most of the way the hyperlocality is taught is crap. Most of the people, they say, well, talk about the 365 things to do in your town. And that will, every day that's what you blog about. Well, that's great if you're a travel agent for your town. But I will tell you, I live in a fairly large town in Los Angeles, Torrance, and there's not 365 things to do, and if there was, I would probably move because I don't want that kind of attention. Travel agents are probably not spending a whole lot of time pushing people into Torrance. Why should you if you're a realtor? What you're selling is the community.